Well, I'm very much a combination between Peter Chung and Jamie Hewlett, I think. I think there's something about those two people that have influenced me. The Peter Chung style is, if there's a spectrum, he's really into detail and super realistic kind of anatomy with like, the head to body ratio is like 12 heads, so it's very elongated and kind of elegant looking. And I mean, I've always loved that style. It's a bit Japanese, but because he's Korean, he's got this weird blend of a bit manga and a bit European. He's kind of influenced by Egon Schiele. And so, I mean, that was one part of it. The other end of the spectrum is the Jamie Hewlett graphic, simplified, kind of economical, a little bit Mad Magazine. It's very kind of hip. If there's a lot of like funny little details and jokes that he puts in there, which is kind of a Mad Magazine type thing. It's just clever. I mean, once you start drawing like that, it's irresistible. Like you just want to draw those Gorillaz characters. Those are the two different sort of spectrums of the scale. I think I fall in the middle somewhere. I think I've gathered up a little bit of that influence from Peter, and I've kind of put a little cocktail of Jamie Hewlett in there. Like everybody I've ever worked, right? It's got like a little effect on me. The lens flare and the fisheye lens, that's kind of something which is specific to the kind of storytelling that I started doing in my comic books. I started to tell stories about, from my point of view, and this is the camera right here. So that's kind of lends itself to the way that stuff looks. What I really, really want to do is I want to animate fully rendered pieces of artwork. Specifically, that's always been really difficult with 2D animation because, the rendering of the character, the shadows, if you're dealing with kind of a normal 2D animation pipeline, you can either, take your shadow matte and make it blurry, or you can make it crispy, like a hard edge. And I've always kind of preferred not blurry shadows. But I think what I'm trying to do specifically is I want to have both things. I want to have a combination of gradients with some hard edge stuff, because that's what gives it like that fully rendered type of look. And so the trick was to try to carry that off using the Photoshop methodology. And just, like I said, animating fully rendered pieces of artwork. Noise, yeah, I love noise, man.
Yeah.
That makes everything more forgiving. It hides all your mistakes. Yeah. But that's kind of, I'm trying to make the artwork look less digital and a bit more analog. To me, that has like kind of a more of an analog feel to it. It breaks up those perfect Photoshop gradients into something that has a bit of texture in it. Yeah. I like that. Noise. It's hard to animate with that noise, though. Man, I struggled to try to find my style for a while. I mean, back in the early days, I was completely Frank Frazetta influenced, and I used to sort of try to draw like that. And then, because I'm kind of a comic book guy, I kind of went through the Mike Mignola thing for a while. I mean, when I discovered Mike Mignola, that's all I used to draw like for a while. Then I discovered Milo Manara, kind of erotic European style comic books, and I just used to draw like him for the longest time. But I was kind of trying to find the style that I felt comfortable with, and it took a while. I mean, I had to put all the books away and just kind of had to not look at reference and try to develop my own style, and that took a few years to figure that out. I have a Cintiq, and I just use the Adobe Master Suite. Like I'll draw on paper, if I'm doing storyboards or designs, it always starts off with the drawing, and then that gets scanned in, and I'll finish it up in Photoshop. But for animation type jobs, I use a combination of Photoshop and After Effects and Premiere for the most part. I've been using TV Paint a bit starting like last year, so that's still kind of new to me, but I'm going to continue using that as well. I'm interested in stuff that's not really formulaic myself. I think I'm trying to find a way of expressing my ideas in a way that sort of means something to me. I mean, my film it's not a perfect story. it's not perfectly told, but I think it's accurate. That's how I remembered things. And I think, life isn't like a perfect film. I think life is a really imperfect sort of, story. Sometimes things happen for no reason. There's no clear story arc a lot of the times. Like my life is just, it's got no plot whatsoever. Just things just happen for no reason. So I was trying to sort of explore that idea in the film of just trying to tell a story the way I remembered it. And when people would suggest, oh, I don't like your character development, you should change this and that, I just kept saying, I can't change it because that's what happened. So I was trying to stay as true and accurate to the story as possible. I would have told myself to buy some property when I was younger. I mean, that's what I would have done. Yeah. Now Vancouver's just got too expensive, and I think just the animation career alone isn't really going to do it for me financially. It has to be a combination of some investments, and I think probably real estate's the best thing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking these days. I mean, the whole career was fine. It's great, but I was probably making the same amount of money 20 years ago as I am now. There's like a certain level that you just can't get past. You can't price yourself out of the market. Just a certain like plateau that I found I kind of hit that about 20 years ago. And the only way I could hopefully try to make it to that next level is, just hopefully with this film, and then I'm still figuring it out, man. I'm still figuring it out. Kind of in the process of trying to secure a piece of work right now. It's taken forever. 6 months to try to get the job awarded. So it's kind of put my career made it stall out a little bit, which I'm kind of disappointed about. But hopefully, man, I haven't checked my email for a few days. When I do, I should find out if it's going to happen or not. And so when it does, I'm looking forward to getting back home and being busy for a while. So yeah, I'm super excited to be starting something new. As far as advice goes, it's hard to say, man. Everybody's got their own kind of journey that they're on. And so just got to figure it out. But I just keep saying you got to finish what you start. Even if it's a piece of shit, you got to finish it. That's better than not finishing the best thing in the world, because that doesn't do anybody any good. Yeah.